We've done blackout builds before, we've done budget builds before. I figured why not combine them. For today's video, I've got a full blackout everyday carry setup from Amazon coming in just under $100. Gonna be going category by category, and I'll have some substitutions or alts available because everyone's everyday carry needs are different. But with that in mind, let's get into it with the first item. We've got a flashlight up first. This is the Olight i3T, one of my longtime budget favorites that gets way more hate than it deserves. This little tiny light is extremely simple and extremely inexpensive. Sometimes that is just the way to go if you don't have a lot of specific needs. It gets up to 180 lumens and it uses a just regular old AAA battery to run it, so easily swappable, rechargeable if you need to. You have a really simple tail switch design. You just click once for lower and once for higher. On and off, super simple. Build quality has been really solid for me. I've had this one for a couple of years and actually picked up a second one a while back. They're just great little lights to have around for random things, especially for non-flashlight people. This thing is just so simple to operate and so inexpensive. It's easy to get into and to use, and it's still going to be way better than a phone flashlight. Definitely can't recommend it enough. Under 20 bucks, one of my favorites in this budget category. If you are looking for some alternatives in this kind of blackout zone, if you're looking to invest more, the Olight Arcfield UV is a real favorite of mine, as well as the Nightcore EDC 27. Both going to be a little bit more expensive, but if you're on a budget for some things and want to invest a little bit more in certain areas that you care about, that would be a good way to go. Two of my other favorites in this kind of blackout category. We've got a wallet up next. This is the Flowfold card holder. It is so incredibly difficult to find made in America products at a really low price and on a budget. This does exactly that. At $15, you get a wallet that's made in America. It's made with recycled sailcloth, so that means a few different things. One, recycled, obviously good for the environment and everything like that. But two, you have a water repellent wallet if you want to take this out for backpacking or boating or any sort of like outdoorsy type of adventures. Really good for that, and it's super lightweight as well. It comes in at 12 grams. I tend to bring this with me on backpacking trips if I'm being a bit of a gram weenie. You still got to bring a little bit of cash and your driver's license in case you get found in the woods and they need to identify your body. Always good to have identification, even if you don't think you actually need it when you're out in the woods. But just a really simple card holder wallet. You have one little slot here. It holds probably 5 or 6 cards. You can tri-fold some bills in there. $15, really can't go wrong with it if you're in the market for just something really simple and easy, just to carry around some cards and a little bit of cash. A couple of alternatives to this if you want to invest a little bit more. Keep with the blackout theme. The Wayfinder Flux is a real budget favorite of mine. It didn't quite fit into the $100 list here, but an excellent choice. I think that one's $35. Or if you want to invest a little bit more, the Reform wallet is a great, kind of more luxurious option. A long-standing favorite of mine. Talked about it a ton, but definitely a good one if you want to invest a bit more. Everyone's definition of a complete everyday carry setup is different, but for me, I wouldn't be going anywhere without a good watch. This is the Casio Royale, the AE 1200. Long-standing favorite for me. This is what got me into my downfall of loving all of the digital Casios. I know a lot of you look at me like I'm a weirdo, but they're just so much fun. This thing is excellent though, and it's only $20. They have a few other versions available for like $25 or $30, but just this classic black comes in under $20 right now, I believe. Such an iconic design. This thing has a cult following, even more than just Casio digitals in general. There's a dedicated subreddit to people that mod the Casio Royale. You have all of the great, digital watch features, alarm, stopwatch, timer, multiple time zones. Such a cool and unique timepiece. You definitely can't go wrong with it. I've harped on this thing for so many years now. I'm sure most of you already own one at this point. You were all the ones that actually told me about it to begin with, if I remember right. If you're on a really tight budget and looking to only get one, this would definitely be my pick, but a couple of other alternatives if you want to stick with the blackout theme and especially with the Casio theme. The Casio CA53W, their calculator watch. Great pick, worn by Walter White and Marty McFly from Breaking Bad and Back to the Future. Really classic design. That one gets more eyes when I'm out and about with it than just about any of my other watches. And the obvious and probably best choice that's a little bit more expensive would be the just standard square G-Shock. It's the GWM 5610. Solar charging, it has the atomic clock, so you don't need to worry about setting it. Really excellent watch. I think I got mine for like $50 or $60. They go on sale pretty often. Check out either of those, but definitely $20 or under. This would be my one pick if I was only picking a single watch to go with. Really quick before we get into the next category, I want to give a huge thank you to Soundcore for sponsoring this week's video and introduce you to their new Boom 2 Bluetooth speaker. Soundcore is some of the best values in audio gear that I've found, and the Boom 2 is no exception. This is easily the best sounding Bluetooth speaker under $150 that I've ever used. It's a 2.1 channel stereo speaker with 2 tweeters and a built-in subwoofer. It comes in at 60 watts for the standard mode, but it can get up to 80 watts with their new Bass Up 2.0 technology. 2.1 channel setups like this are great. The tweeters handle the mids and the highs, and the subwoofer more than covers the low end and the bass. It won't really do justice with the microphone and YouTube's compression, but here's a quick clip of a sound test so you can get an idea for yourself. Aside from the sound quality, the Boom 2 has a ton of other things going for it. It's really lightweight for its size at 3.7 pounds, very manageable to throw into a bag when you're headed to the beach or barbecue or something. It's IPX7 water resistant, so it can more than hold up to splashes or even a full submersion. It even floats if you want to set it up on a boat or bring it tubing down the river or anything like that. It charges via USB-C and can even operate as a power bank if you're hanging out by the lake all day or something and need to charge your phone. The overall build quality and the built-in handle are both great. I have really high expectations for Soundcore at this point, and they definitely didn't disappoint. It uses Bluetooth 5.3 and Soundcore's PartyCast 2.0 if you want to connect together multiple speakers. It also has a 24-hour runtime, so plenty of juice for a normal adventure day. And it almost feels unimportant at this point compared to everything else that it's bringing to the table, but the built-in lights on the sides are a really nice touch and super fun. The lights and the EQ settings can all be managed from the Soundcore app. I've been using it for the Motion 300 and the Liberty 4 NC headphones for a while now, and it works great. Be sure to check the link in the description if you want to pick one up for yourself. I've had a great time testing this and really can't wait for summer to use it even more. Huge thanks again to Soundcore for sponsoring this week's video. Next category up is pens. This is the Uniball Jetstream 101. If you are a longtime viewer of the channel, you've definitely seen this one before. This was my main pen through like 2017 through 2019. It's an excellent choice if you're on a tight budget. I had a lot of trouble finding these for quite some time, but it seems like they're back up and available on Amazon right now. It's $14 for a 12-pack of them. They really punch way above their weight class with how well they write, especially if you're left-handed. I'm a huge fan of that kind of thick, inky type of look with my writing, but when you're left-handed, you smudge all of that up and it looks terrible. This is a little bit thicker at 1.0 and it dries almost instantly. So if you're a left-handed writer and like that kind of nice, soft, inkier type of look, this is the best option for that I found, especially on a tighter budget. If you do want a couple of other alternatives, one that I almost put in here but was a little bit more expensive, the Write in the Rain pens are about $8 each. Those are really great too, especially if you do a lot of stuff outdoors. I tend to keep one in my car glove box in case I need to write something down if I'm in an accident and it's raining outside or anything like that. Really great pens there. Also the Fisher Space pen, the bullet pen, I think is around $30. Another really great choice and a huge crowd favorite. Kind of a quick side note, bonus category with the pen are notebooks. I don't actually have this one that I'm going to mention personally, but I looked it up and the reviews are pretty good, and there's just a few things you can kind of get wrong with little notebooks. There are little like Field Notes knockoffs on Amazon from a brand called 2-1. You get like a 6-pack of them for $10, I think. They look pretty standard. Like I said, there's not really a lot that can go wrong. So if you're on a budget and looking for an all black notebook, those looked pretty compelling. Otherwise though, Field Notes make some black ones, and Wayfinder Carry, I did check, they're not on Amazon anymore, but they do still make their like Forest Bather notebooks that say Let's Go on them. This is a long favorite for me as well. These are only $5, and I think Field Notes are like $6 or $7, but if you really are on a tight budget, those off-brand ones seem plenty good for their price point. A couple months back, I polled everyone on the channel asking what their favorite piece of everyday carry gear was, and the winner by far was the Victorinox Classic SD, or just Victorinox in general. I've definitely known they were classic. It was fun to see how many people just still use and love them as their all-time favorite piece of gear. This is a go-to for me for backpacking just because it's so small and light, and the few tools that they do have here are excellent. I think if you're on a really tight budget, getting a little multi-tool might be a better way to go than a knife, but there are some really great knives if you're willing to kind of increase to a $30 to $50 range. It opens up a whole world of possibilities, especially with Civivi. They've got a ton of great options there, but this one is a great choice and probably my favorite under $20 right now. You have a lot going for it. You have a little blade, you have a nail file with a little flathead screwdriver section there. You have a pair of scissors, which comes in really handy more often than you'd think. And then on one side, you have a little pair of tweezers, and then you can also get a toothpick, but I actually swapped out the toothpick portion for a little fire starter. I found these a while ago and talked about them. Still such a cool and clever little idea. Again, this lives in my little backpacking emergency kit just because of the scissors and that little fire starter and everything. It's a great thing to have around. Really disappointing to hear that Leatherman discontinued their Squirt PS4. That's probably my all-time favorite little multi-tool. I think Gerber still makes the Gerber Dime as well, but a couple of other alternatives though. If you're looking to still have something small, but more of a blade, the James brand Elco is a really great little blade option. I've had that for a few years now. Big fan of it. And if you want a bigger, more substantial multi-tool in this kind of blackout range, the Leatherman Wave Plus, by far my favorite. That thing is practically a daily use item for me for like 4 years now. Really, really love it, and it's constantly in use around my apartment. Apparently a little divisive, but a handkerchief is a must in any of my everyday carry setups. It seems like most people don't care or think it's gross to blow your nose on a handkerchief. I don't care. I use them all the time and swear by them. Someone that suffers from allergies, you go through and make your nose all red from some tissues or paper towel or something and come back to me in a couple of years. But this is the Dry Key sweat absorbing handkerchief. I found these a few years back, I think actually for my 2021 Blackout EDC build, but these are still in regular rotation for me. They're essentially like a thin, large microfiber towel. So it's like part microfiber, part handkerchief. So it kind of works for both if you need to clean your glasses or something like that. But I really like, these are designed for absorbing sweat. I bring one of these out with me when I'm hiking or backpacking, and your face and forehead gets all sweaty. Being able to wipe that off really easily and have it work well is excellent. Big fan of these for what they are. They're really not very expensive either. A 5-pack of them is $15. If you want something that's kind of an all-in-one that's a little more substantial than those like Bougie, Mighty Hanks, and all of those types of brands that have the double-sided ones, but they're only like 4 or 5 by 5. This is a much better way to go in my opinion. Alternative, if you still want to go blackout but want to go with a more regular hank, the Vala Alta hanks are great. I've got a pack of those in black. Linen is a really nice thing for your nose, a little bit nicer to blow your nose than this, but again, this has that microfiber aspect to it, so it's a little bit more versatile. Another big essential for me up next, the key organizer. My absolute favorite pick here in a budget range is the Orbit Key Active. It's a polycarbonate TPU material, just kind of a soft touch rubberized type of feel. Exactly the same function as the regular Orbit key, but just with this, lower priced material instead of leather. Key organizers have become such an invaluable part of my carry, especially for me because I don't drive very often. I don't carry car keys with me generally, so I don't have to worry about carrying around a big fob or anything like that. So all my keys just fit neatly in here. Throw them into my pocket, throw them in my sling bag. But Orbit Key is really solid, especially at the $25 price point for the Active. I think the extra, $10, $15 is well worth it compared to KeySmart. I know a lot of people got mad at me, but I really just hate those KeySmart organizers. I think they feel cheap and they're overpriced and they're just not very nice to use. This one's really great though. It holds 2 to 7 keys. The hardware is stainless steel. This is silver. They do make blackout hardware, but I don't think it's available for the Active version. I'll have to double check, but they do make blackout hardware for the regular leather one if you want to spend a bit more. For alternatives here, I'm a huge fan of the Jibbin key organizers. Very similar to Orbit Key, but just with a few extra little features that make a huge difference. I've talked about those so many times, I won't get into it right now, but if you have an extra, 15, 20 bucks or so, I would check out those. But on a tight budget, this is going to get you like 95% of the way there, and it's definitely a great pick. That's going to round it up for the carry, though. I'd love to hear what your setup is looking like. What would you swap out from this? What would you add? What would you take away? Complete everyday carry is such a subjective term. Everyone's needs are different. Everyone's preferences are different. I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.